Hey everyone, it's Luke here from LT Gaming and welcome back to the channel. RTS and Wargaming fans, this one might just sneak up on you. With Broken Arrow officially dropping in just a couple of days, a lot of eyes are on that launch, but not all the buzz is good. The early reviews have slipped to around 70% on Steam, and the main complaint? No skirmish AI. You can't play solo unless you're part of a team. That's a big problem for a game that sold itself as a tactical sandbox. Now, it looks like they're coming up with a solution, and they really need to, but yeah, there's definitely a few issues with that title so far. We've covered Broken Arrow plenty on the channel already, so instead of joining the flood of review videos, we're turning our attention to something a bit more under the radar. Exactly what we aim to do here on LT Gaming. It's called The Last General, and it's shaping up to be one of the most ambitious real-time strategy games we've seen in years, especially when you consider it's being built by a single developer. Massive maps, fully simulated logistics, strategic drawing tools, AI-driven troop behavior. This is big picture wargaming, and it's still very early. But already it's looking like something very special. Let's dig in. At its core, The Last General is a modern military RTS that blends grand strategy with real-time battlefield control. You're not just commanding a few squads on a tidy little map. You're organising entire war efforts, managing hundreds, even thousands of units across procedurally generated islands as large as 400 square kilometres. The developer, working solo, has spent over a year building a system where the Frontlines aren't just lines on a map. They're dynamic, shifting zones of control you shape by drawing orders and adapting on the fly. You can zoom out and plan at the scale of a general, setting directional arrows for your entire army, or zoom in and take command of individual squads and vehicles when you want that tactical granularity. That arrow system really reminds me of Ultimate General Civil War. I used to love drawing those arrows across the map. It felt really strategic and, not so granular in that sense, but I just thought it was so immersive. I think that's partly because as kids, me and Tom would take those old historical maps out of books and just play games with them. I mean, the imagination was awesome, and I think that translated over into a passion for war games. And because everything is built with layered AI systems, from high-level strategy to individual unit behavior, your commands cascade through a hierarchy. You decide the what and your troops figure out the how. This isn't about micromanaging every move, it's about orchestrating a war. What makes The Last General exciting is its commitment to scale without sacrificing control. It's trying to solve a problem many RTS games struggle with: how to give players meaningful command over massive forces without drowning them in clicks. And so far it looks like it's pulling it off. You'll be managing not just combat units but the logistics that keep them alive. Towns and industrial areas can be captured and repurposed to fuel your economy. Supply lines matter, roads matter, units spawn at facilities and follow orders based on the infrastructure you've built. There's no magic base building here, it's military infrastructure rooted in cause and effect. That's a level of depth that tactical RTS fans often dream about but rarely get. And it doesn't stop there. The world is destructible, artillery leaves craters, buildings collapse, units respond to their environment intelligently, repositioning, regrouping, or seeking cover as battles unfold. This isn't just about issuing orders, it's about adapting as the battlefield changes. For me, these elements in this type of wargame are super important as they drag you into the immersive environment. Just a quick interlude, everyone, to say do consider subscribing to LT Gaming. We do pledge to bring you lots of excellent previews in the future and incredible lists which can really expand your wish list. So you're definitely going to get something from it, and both me and Tom appreciate all of you. The tech on display is already impressive, from realistic projectiles and guided missiles to adaptive UI systems that change depending on your zoom level. There's a ton of polish here for a solo project. It's the kind of prototype where you can immediately see the vision even if the game isn't fully there yet. What's particularly refreshing is how little hand-holding is involved. This game is designed to trust the player. If you're the kind of person who loves drawing battle plans, thinking 3 steps ahead, and watching chaos unfold in beautifully orchestrated layers, this one's going to speak your language. And let's be honest, it's also kind of amazing that one person is building this. I've been speaking to him behind the scenes and I'm really impressed with his vision. There is times with these sorts of games where you don't trust what's going to happen. A lot of players get burnt on early access and stuff like that. But it was really great to speak to him. And look, I will caveat, this is an early look at this type of game, but I think it's looking impressive so far. And like I said, with any early stage project, there's always going to be a few caveats. Right now, some of the UI elements still feel rough around the edges. There's no full campaign or mission structure in place yet, most of the content is sandbox focused, which means it's all about experimentation for now. There's also a long road ahead in terms of balancing unit behaviours, refining the AI, and making sure everything runs smoothly when the scale ramps up. Still, none of this feels like a red flag. It just feels like a solo dev doing things the right way, building the systems first, then polishing them over time. And of course, it's impossible not to compare The Last General to Broken Arrow. They're both gunning for that modern military RTS space with a focus on realism, layered unit control, and big battlefield energy. But the approaches are very different. Where Broken Arrow is focused on curated spectacle and tight, almost cinematic scenarios, The Last General leans hard into openness. This is a game about emergence. It hands you a blank canvas, an enormous island, an industrial war machine, and thousands of units and says, go figure it out. And that puts it in interesting company. If you played Regiments by Microprose, you'll know how good, focused, bite-sized tactical missions can feel. You'll also know how limited the replay value can be without full dynamic campaigns or sandbox options. The Last General is aiming to go broader, to give players control over the long war, economy, logistics, shifting front lines, not just moment-to-moment firefights. Then there's WARNO, which is maybe the closest comparison in terms of scope and unit count, but where WARNO leans deep into competitive multiplayer and deck-building complexity, The Last General is trying to build a smarter battlefield, one where layered AI systems do the heavy lifting, let you act like a general, not a babysitter. And crucially, it already understands something Broken Arrow is currently catching heat for: the value of intelligent, solo playable AI. The Last General can fill that gap and maybe even set a new bar for what solo, friendly, large-scale RTS games can be. And then we can also take a nod to games like Wargame Red Dragon and Steel Division also. So what would elevate The Last General even more? A robust campaign mode would give all this potential some narrative and structure. We'd love to see better unit customization or mission editor down the line, something to let players build and share scenarios. And of course, mod support would open up the floodgates for long-term community engagement. Even without those though, the core systems are strong, and that's what matters at this stage. The Last General is still extremely early, it's not even planning to come out till 2026, but it's already doing something that most modern RTS games can. It's offering a grand, thoughtful, scalable battlefield experience, where your mind, not your mouse speed, is your biggest weapon. And it's got the vision, it's got the fundamentals, and it's being built by someone who clearly understands what makes strategy games feel powerful. If you're tired of scripted missions and one-size-fits-all battle plans, this is one to keep a very close eye on. Wishlist it, follow its progress, and get ready to draw the front lines yourself. I've been Luke from LT Gaming, and as always, I'll catch you on the next one.